What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 4, Monday Night Football.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay guys, in this video, I'm going to give you my top DFS picks for this Monday Night Football showdown between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's take a look at this NFL showdown between the LA Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. So at the quarterback position, I like Jimmy Garoppolo from the San Francisco 49ers playing the LA Rams, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo has averaged 13.6 fantasy points per game on the season. He's getting an average of 2.5 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 41% owned, projected at 15.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's 10,000 DraftKings salary. Vegas thinks there's going to be 42.5 points scored in this game, with the Rams favored by 1.5. So Jimmy Garoppolo has scored 10 and 17 fantasy points in the last 2 games off of 1 and 4 rush attempts. But I love this matchup for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a little bit less salary than Matthew Stafford, who's 10,600 DraftKings salary. But Stafford is only averaging 14 fantasy points per game on the season. He's going to be about 52% owned, so higher ownership for Stafford. And I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo can put up 20 plus fantasy points in this matchup. So I like Jimmy Garoppolo here versus the LA Rams. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. So for the 49ers, you have Jeff Wilson Jr., who's averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13 rush attempts per game and 2.3 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 45% owned, projected at 13.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's 8,200 DraftKings salary. And Jeff Wilson Jr. has scored 13, 12, and 5 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 12, 18, and 9 rush attempts on top of 3, 2, and 2 pass targets. So I like Jeff Wilson Jr. here versus the LA Rams. Now for the LA Rams, you have 2 running backs you can consider, both around the same price. You have Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson Jr. Between those 2 guys, I like Cam Akers. And he's averaging 6.4 fantasy points per game on the season. He's averaging 10 rush attempts per game, 1 pass target per game. He's only going to be about 17% owned, projected at 9.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 7,000 DraftKings salary. And Cam Akers has scored 11 and 8 fantasy points in the last 2 games off of 12 and 15 rush attempts. And he got 3 pass targets in one of those games. Now compare that to Darrell Henderson Jr., who's only got 4 and 10 rush attempts the last 2 games with 1 pass target. It looks like Cam Akers is getting much more volume the past couple of games, and he has been productive the past 2 weeks, or more productive the past 2 weeks, scoring 11 and 8 fantasy points. So I like Cam Akers here versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
All you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So stud on the slate, you have Cooper Kupp from the LA Rams, and he's averaging 29 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 11.7 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 100% of the snaps, gonna be about 72% owned, projected at 25.3 fantasy points. Here tonight, he's 12,000 DraftKings salary. Cooper Kupp has scored 16, 36, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 6, 14, and 15 pass targets. So I like Cooper Kupp here versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now the stud for the 49ers is Deebo Samuel, and he's averaging 13.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.7 rush attempts per game and 7 pass targets per game. So I like that he's getting those rush attempts. He's got rushing upside as well as the pass receiving upside. So you're kind of getting a running back and a wide receiver in one player here. He's on the field for 80% of the snaps, gonna be about 57% owned, projected at 17.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 10,400 DraftKings salary. Deebo Samuel has scored 13, 15, and 14 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 8, 6, and 8 pass targets on top of 5, 4, and 8 rush attempts. Now I also like this pick because the Rams give up the second most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, and that's why I think it's a good idea to stack Jimmy Garoppolo and a couple of these San Francisco wide receivers. So I like Deebo Samuel here versus the LA Rams. Now if you want to save some salary at the wide receiver position, take a look at Brandon Ayuk from the San Francisco 49ers. He's averaging 10.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.3 targets per game. He's on the field for 92% of the snaps, gonna be about 28% owned, projected at 12.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 7,600 DraftKings salary, and Brandon Ayuk has scored 13, 11, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 8, 8, and 2 pass targets. So he's probably one of my favorite wide receivers on the slate when you factor in his salary and his matchup. So I like Brandon Ayuk here versus the LA Rams.
Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Now, if you're looking to pay down at the wide receiver position for the Rams, take a look at Allen Robinson. He's averaging 7.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 94% of the snaps, gonna be about 28% owned, and he's projected at 10.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 6,200 DraftKings salary. Allen Robinson has scored 4, 15, and 2 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 5, 5, and 2 pass targets. So I like Allen Robinson here versus the San Francisco 49ers. But now if you're looking for a value play at the wide receiver position, you got a couple of options here. Take a look at Ben Skowronek from the LA Rams, and he's averaging 6.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.3 pass targets per game. He's been on the field for 87% of the snaps, going to be about 21% owned, projected at 7 fantasy points here tonight. He's only $4,400 DraftKings salary, and Ben Skowronek has scored 11, 4, and 7 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 3, and 6 pass targets. So I like Ben Skowronek here versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now the value play for the 49ers is Juan Jennings, and he's averaging 4.4 fantasy points per game on the season, but he is getting an average of 3.7 pass targets per game, going to be about 19% owned, projected at 5.6 fantasy points here tonight. But I like this pick because he's only $2,000 DraftKings salary, getting between 2 and 6 pass targets a game, so he should get a couple of opportunities. If he can score a touchdown, he will certainly be in the winning lineup. So I like Juan Jennings here versus the LA Rams. Okay, moving on to the tight end position for the 49ers. Welcome back George Kittle, who scored 7 fantasy points last game in his first game back off of 5 pass targets. He's going to be about 35% owned, projected at 11.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's $6,600 DraftKings salary, so I think he's going to get better every game that he plays from here on out. So I like George Kittle here versus the LA Rams. Now for the Rams, take a look at Tyler Higbee. He's averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 8 pass targets per game. He's on the field for 95% of the snaps, going to be about 36% owned, projected at 10.8 fantasy points here tonight. He's only $5,200 DraftKings salary, and Tyler Higbee has scored 10, 14, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 4, 9, and 11 pass targets. So I think Tyler Higbee may be one of my favorite plays on the slate. So I like Tyler Higbee here versus the San Francisco 49ers.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.